So if we look at counterfeiting, one area that I've worked in, which I thought was really interesting, was counterfeit perfumes. So we did some work with a museum where they had a bottle of perfume which they suspected as being counterfeit, and they wanted us to look at it and could we tell them anything about it. So the first thing was to email around sites really to try to see if I could get a genuine bottle of this perfume, which, as you can imagine, I got several hundred sarcastic emails, and then a couple of people who actually used the perfume, which was useful. And there's a caveat here with counterfeiting that in an ideal world you'll have a larger number of samples because you have to be really sure on your product, you know. So in this case we got something that had been bought from a large department store, so we had more confidence in the sort of supply chain integrity to do a comparison of the two of them.
I guess one of the starting points is kind of fairly simple, is to get our microscopy department involved just to kind of take pictures and look at the packaging, because sometimes there can be maybe subtle differences between the packaging that's used between samples, but then also sometimes really obvious differences and mistakes in things like spelling, and so just having these images to start off with can be quite helpful and to start to build up the evidence that you've potentially got a counterfeit product.
And I guess it could be type of ink, but it could even be the adhesive that's used when you stick the packaging together, couldn't it? And then moving on from that, I guess with the obvious thing for me, it's a fragrance, so is to move on to gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. And in this case, I favour looking towards the two-dimensional gas chromatograph with the time of flight detector on, because you've got this extra degree of separation, which is really powerful in these cases. And two-dimensional GC is a really visual technique. So as a very quick look see, it's very easy to put two images up on the screen and very quickly go, yep, there's a difference there, there's a difference there, there's a difference there. In this case, it was really interesting. You could see certain compounds which have been used to create another smell. So there was a smell in the genuine product which, rather than using those materials which perhaps were more expensive, they'd use some other compounds to mimic.
I guess also the other thing to think about as well is not just the fragrances that are used, but maybe the carriers that might get used are different. So we could use something like nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, or NMR, to look at kind of an overall organic profile that might give an indication as to whether there's anything else that's been added that's not a fragrance.
There is a serious side, as apart from the commercial aspect of the selling knockoff products, there's a health risk as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so we can get our toxicity assessors involved at that stage, because it could be that somebody's added something into the product that is banned, or maybe they're at levels that are higher than are allowed in certain countries. So I think there can be quite serious implications to the end users.
So if you have a counterfeit issue, we are very happy to look at problem solving, trying to, to help you out in getting to the bottom of what it is.